Ladies and gentlemen, Big Herald News.
Hey, kia ora koutou e te whānau. Welcome back to another episode of Big Hero News. Kia ora, Chewy.
Kia ora, Pat. How are we doing?
Oh, man, we're doing all right, actually. You were doing all right. Busy. Been a busy old day. Got back to the gym today after a while away. Ran into someone who knows the podcast. Apologies, I didn't grab the person's name, but if you're watching, hello, how are you? Yeah, good times. Good times had by one. I don't know about and all, but certainly by one. Good times. How about you?
Well, you know how I'm heading to the UK in almost 2 months' time.
Yes, I saw the letter made out to HR last night in the inbox. Good.
Oh, that's good. You have received my leave application.
Yeah. We'll get back to you in 3 to 6 weeks.
Perfect. I'm sure you can agree that now is the perfect time for me to freak out about the last time I saw my passport and where it might be now.
Last time you saw it was on the way home from Colorado, would be my guess.
I can't find it. I think I put it somewhere sensible, and I don't know where that is.
So at what point do you pull the trigger on because you can get a passport in like 48 hours, but it costs a mint. At what point do you pull that trigger?
Oh, you mean your adult passport at urgent pricing that I have on the window next to me?
Okay.
$494.
As opposed to what's the normal price? I thought it was about 400. Oh, that's not too bad. It's not like from 247 to 2000. I mean, it's bad, but it's not that bad. I mean, if you're going
I'm hoping to find it.
Yeah. No, good man. I realised last night we didn't do our regular little catch up for the weekend. And what have you been watching? And I thought that I might just mention I have been watching The Bear again over the weekend. Enjoy it a lot. It's on Disney Plus right now if people haven't seen it. And I just had this little epiphany on that TV show. It's a show about a kitchen where in series 2, they basically get rid of the restaurant and the kitchen and the cooking. And pretty much all of series 2 is about building another kitchen, but that series 1 sort of, blue collar, cooking Philly cheesesteaks, that kind of stuff goes away. So you love it for what it is. And then in series 2, they change it entirely and it's even better, which is a pretty impressive thing that they've done. They've moved away from their formula and they actually do a better job of it. And so I've just got to the stage towards the end of season 2 where they open up the restaurant. So they're back to the cooking stage. Have you watched it? Do you know much about it?
I have watched some of the first season because my friends that I know that work in hospo just basically said, yes, this is very, very true to life.
Yep.
It's brought up some feelings.
Yep.
But it's interesting that you mentioned it now. Just before you went to air, you were talking about looking at reviews of Tesla Cybertrucks.
It's hate watching, it's so much fun to watch.
Tesla opened a restaurant of all things.
Really?
And I was reading an article about it. It didn't go well. It didn't go very well at all. But all of these Elon fanboys that went there and had bad experiences, now they're all restaurant experts.
Right.
And just the conversation I was involved in online about it brought up the fact that all of these guys that have never worked in hospo don't understand how it works, don't understand that it doesn't matter what the person looks like.
Yeah.
Working in a commercial kitchen is as close as you can get, in my opinion, to a true meritocracy.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if you're covered in tattoos. It doesn't matter what race you are. It doesn't matter your experience. All that matters is that you can do the job. Do the job well. If you're really good at the job, you'll go up, and if you're not very good at the job, you'll fuck off. And I think that's really interesting when you're talking about these Silicon Valley types, where you often hear them sort of go, well, democracy doesn't work. What we need is a meritocracy. And if their discussions about this was an example, they don't know what one is.
Yeah.
They don't know how it works. The best person for the job might be someone that doesn't look like you.
Yeah.
The best person for the job might be someone who's had very different experiences from you. The best person for the job might just be a chain-smoking, overweight person covered in burns and tattoos.
I don't know anything about this restaurant. I just looked it up as you were talking about it. It looks pretty average. I mean, if this is what you're getting, burger, I guess that's bacon, chips, and the cheese
American
toasty.
bacon.
Yeah, so fakin', we call that. I think it's so interesting when people are successful in one area. And I'm speaking of restaurants, I'm thinking of the guys. There's a guy called I can't remember what his name is, but he runs Monkey Garage or Monkey something Garage. He's like a American. He builds hot rods and stuff. And they went down the line of having quite a lot of success. So then he started up his alcohol brand, and then he started up his restaurant brand and his bar. And of course, it's not what he knows. So the restaurant failed, the bar failed, alcohol went okay because I guess, parts of America still all drink their alcohol. But it's always interesting when there's this rule in business that you go narrow and you go deep. You don't do too much. You do one thing, you do it better than anybody else. But it seems that there's this model with some people, and it's probably a good thing. It's probably these are the kinds of people that do change the world, where they think they can do anything. They're confident enough in their expertise that they think that they can do anything. And I'm not saying that like it's a bad thing, like arrogant shits, because as I said, those are the kinds of people who move civilizations forward. But for every one that moves civilization forward, there's probably 100 of them that kind of go, whoa, that didn't work. I thought I could do everything. And maybe, like we've talked about Elon before, he's not actually much of an originator. He did some back end on PayPal. Then since then, he's basically bought everything that was already there and, grown with it. And I heard someone say there was 6 rockets that blew up in a row. So that didn't look like that was going so well. And now looking what's Tesla, that doesn't look like that's happening so well. I guess, what's it called? The satellite internet? That looks like that's doing pretty well. Starlink's doing pretty well.
Apart from the massive outage that they had last week. But, yeah.
Yeah, so he's an interesting cat.
There's this theory when it comes to evolution. Have you heard this, Pat? That in evolutionary terms, everything evolves into a crab at one point.
Oh,
because there's a whole bunch of creatures in the world, right? And they all look like crabs, but they're not all crabs. It's just. Right. Evolution has this thing of like, yep, this is the good amount of legs, and you need to grab a thing to chuck stuff in your mouth. And if we made the outside of you tough so things didn't eat you, that'd be good. And it's this parallel evolution in a whole bunch of things. There's a similar thing when it comes to technology, in that if you have a long enough timeline and enough tech bros, they will invent a bus.
Right.
Or a train. And it's like, we need to revolutionize transport. Personal transport is on the way out. It's too inefficient. We need to, maybe if we got self-driving cars and we joined them together or made a really big one, and maybe we could work out the most efficient routes to get the most people to the most places easily.
Give it its own road or some kind of system to run on.
Yeah, if we could take it off the road.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, we've invented a train again. Shit. I like this. I like that Elon didn't go to making a train. That he's gone down to making a burger restaurant. Definitely something that the world needs more of.
I heard, no, you don't hear with your eyes, do you? I saw a headline the other day saying that they were going to be testing these robo-taxis in New Zealand, the autonomous robo-taxis. And I'm like, there will be a wide berth given by me if I see any of those around. You've already seen there's been a couple of real scary incidents where the robo-taxis went on the wrong side of the road. They just didn't have an accident because nothing happened to be coming the other way. It's like, no, thank you, sir. No, thank you. Start using LiDAR. Even I know this. You got to use LiDAR, Mr. Musk, not cameras. Cameras can be fooled. LiDAR is much harder to be fooled.
I can tell you from the brief amount of time I spent in San Francisco where they had self-driving cars from Waymo and I think Tesla as well. We're doing that as well. That the locals had worked out for the Waymo ones that if you put a road cone on the bonnet, they just stop. They can't move. Just absolutely paralyzed because they see the road cone and they're like, no, I can't go through the road cone.
Wow. There you go. All right, guys. So tonight we're having a look, and I saw Moana was on with Bomber, which was a nice chat. I thought the camera angle was particularly interesting. This is my Moana camera angle from down here, talking for the night. Oh, see what happens? My camera tells me off. And we're going to have a look at that parts of that interview. Also, I am willing to bet a large amount of money that Judith Collins went on Ryan Bridges' show this morning on the condition he didn't ask her about the Bill of Rights situation from yesterday. Because that is the biggest Judith Collins story in New Zealand at the moment. And guess what didn't come up once? He didn't ask her about the Bill of Rights. I was actually a bit dumbfounded because I saw the interview. I went, cool, we'll get an update on what she's thinking. Nothing. And look, I want to give Ryan a bit of credit. I mean, people might think he's not a good interviewer. Yeah, but no one's that bad. No one's that bad that they don't ask the obvious biggest question in the country. Remember that no one's got to talk to her about yet. So no one's talked to her about that. So I would place a large amount of money that she had a condition of coming on if they didn't talk about it. I don't know about you, Chewy, but just so you know, for us, I would not take that deal. I would either say yes and ask her anyway, or I'd say sorry, you don't get to dictate what we do and don't ask you.
That's rough, man. Like if that's true, Ryan Bridge should be exiled, put on a boat, sent somewhere else.
But it won't be Ryan Bridge.
Would you do that?
It won't be Ryan Bridge because he won't be the person making those decisions. It'll be the booker, and then through a manager that probably says to Ryan Bridge, "You can't ask her about that. We've said we won't."
Well,
because it's not Ryan. It's not Ryan Bridge. Well, it's not Ryan Bridge who's phoning up Judith, going, "Hey, Jude, do you want to come on?" You know, that's handled by others.
Well, that's good.
So
send them all out. It'll be good. They can keep Ryan company on the boat. Like that's like this is what I was afraid of when our media landscape imploded.
Yeah.
Is that whoever was left standing was going to be too petrified to piss the wrong person off.
Got to have access.
Like it used to be this thing, right? If you could get a politician hot under the collar and he stormed out, well then there's your headline, job done.
Yep.
But yeah, if they don't want to piss off Judith.
The other thing tonight is Chewy, this government who has promised us all that they are quote unquote smashing the gangs. They're going to smash the gangs. We're going to have a country where it's tough being involved with a gang. You're not going to want to be involved. We're going to get down on the gangs. Well, gang numbers are higher than they've ever been under this government. They seem to think they are still smashing the gangs, but we'll have a look at the story from One News on that tonight. But first, let's just here's a little 60-second, a little palate cleanser for you, Chewy. I'm interested to get your thoughts on this. This is breaking. Mark Epstein, Jeffrey's brother, in a brand new interview about his brother Jeffrey, dropped a bomb and it's going super viral. In the 2016 election, Jeffrey told me that if he said what he knew about the candidates, so that's Clinton and Trump, they would have to cancel the election. That's a quote. And there's an interview here, but this is a weird thing on Threads. You can't scroll backwards and forwards. You just got to play from where it's up to. So I'm not going to bother playing it because that's what he says in that little short
Threads
interview.
is bad. That's why.
Yeah. So in 2016 election, apparently according to Jeffrey Epstein's brother, Jeffrey confided in him that what he knew about the two candidates, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, and I would suspect it's probably more to do with Bill Clinton than Hillary, but the Clintons and Donald Trump, if he let it out, they would have to cancel the election. Not, it would knock one candidate out, Chewy. They would have to cancel the election, which means it covers both of them. Yeah, I like what Josie says. I too am unsurprised, but it's interesting that more and more and more and more and layer upon layer upon layer are coming out time and time and time again until Giselle Maxwell gets a pardon from Trump, and then she puts her hand on a Bible and says Trump had nothing to do with it, and then she is pardoned.
It was
That's
Bruce
what's coming next.
Springsteen, and it was Sleepy Joe, and it was Obama.
They won't. I don't think they'll be able to point the finger, because if they point the finger, then there'll have to be more appearances by Ghislaine. That's it, isn't it? Ghislaine Maxwell, because there'd be court cases. I doubt that there'll be any fingers pointed, but I would not be surprised if Ghislaine Maxwell put her hand on the Bible and says Trump wasn't involved. I never saw him on the plane. He was never at the island. And all of a sudden, she's off living by herself in some remote part of America, not to be heard of again, but living free on a little island with a little house quite comfortably for the rest of her life until Mossad turns up, and then she goes to meet her ex-husband. Yeah, so it goes on. It goes on. Alrighty, Chewy, my friend. Oh, there's one other thing as well. Actually, maybe we'll start here soon, because there's not really any video for this, because I know this is your favorite subject matter, Chewy. You know that whole smoke-free 2025 thing, and how this government they didn't say they were going to do it, but then they decided to come in and cancel smoke-free 2025. And they've been saying all the way through, yeah, but we're gonna achieve a smoke free by this date X, date Y, which surprises me because I don't know how. And then they give big tobacco like tax breaks for a year just to help them sell their product, which doesn't sell anywhere else in the world. Well, there's been an update to that story. Tobacco product tax cut slated for 1 year has been extended by 2. The tax break for heated tobacco products made by Phillip Morris has been extended for an extra 2 years. In July 2024, the government cut the tax on HTPs in half in what it said would be a 1-year trial subject to an evaluation. But New Zealand First Associate Health Minister Casey Costello told RNZ the evaluation would now be done in July 2027, and the reduced tax would apply to HTPs at least until then.
Unbelievable.
So they've put it in place for a year to test the market, and it seems that the tobacco companies have liked the result, so the tobacco companies get to have it extended by another 2 years. Doesn't necessarily say what it says for the users of the products or the people of New Zealand, but it seems that perhaps some political parties, who I assume getting some donations, and some big tobacco companies, one in particular, are pretty happy with how things have gone, Chewy. Fascinating.
Question from the chat. What are heated tobacco products? Vaping? Kind of, not really. It is the dumbest product that I have ever seen. Basically, you have a thing that looks like a vape, and then you buy a product that looks suspiciously like a cigarette with no filter. And then you put it in the vape, and it doesn't set it on fire, it gently heats it. So it's like a cigarette with extra steps. It's just really weird. Now, this was a technology that Phillip Morris put together because very much like VHS versus Betamax, they thought that Betamax was the way to go because they invented it. Everybody else went, VHS is better, and that's the way that everywhere in the world, apart from Japan, went. So Phillip Morris is holding the bag on a technology that they invented that they thought was going to be really good, and only the Japanese have it. But now, because we've stacked our government with tobacco lobbyists, now they have a place to dump all of this useless product that the rest of the world doesn't want. Because we're a real country that makes sensible decisions about that what the citizens can have. It's so dumb, it's so corrupt, and it's so obvious.
Labour health spokesperson Aisha Verrill said the extension of the tax cut was striking given the strain on the health system. This government has the wrong priorities. It is giving tax breaks to tobacco companies now valued at over $300 million, and the evaluation they promised to check that it was helpful is a total sham. Costello cut the HTP tax rate by 50% last year with the aim that cheaper prices may encourage people to switch from cigarettes to HTPs. As you're saying, Chewy, a dying technology from a company who just needs to offload all of their product. And I know a good way to get people off tobacco and get people off cigarettes is you don't have them anymore. We had a plan for that, and you guys got rid of it.
Yeah, it's so obvious. I have heaps of criticisms about vaping. Like many things, New Zealand walked into that without doing its due diligence and putting up any regulation or control over how people access vaping. And now we have a lot of kids that love vaping. But it's just really clear with heated tobacco products that the problem that is solving is Phillip Morris going, but we still want to sell tobacco.
We have a warehouse of them. We've got a warehouse of this
Smoking is bad because they know it'll kill them, but we still want to sell tobacco. Who have we got that's in a government that's in our pocket? Let's see what we can do there.
Here's one more thing for the topper, because we do often criticise this government for running away from experts. The cut was made despite health officials telling Costello there was no evidence HTPs worked to stop people smoking or were significantly safer than cigarettes. Costello told Cabinet she had her own, quote, independent advice, end quote, which when she released it later turned out to be 5 articles that were either about different products, outdated, or offered only weak support for her view. Yes, Kellyanne Conway, these are the alternative facts, as they say, Joey.
Just absolute bullshit. It's so obvious. We have so many people in the current government that have direct ties or nudge, nudge, wink, wink ties to tobacco companies that this is just so out in the open.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Anyway, that's a little palate cleanser for you. It's a kind of smutty sort of tobacco-y tasting palate cleanser, but yeah, one nonetheless. Hey, Chilby, can you say Judith Collins' names 3 times for me, please?
Judith Collins, Judith Collins, Judith Collins. Ah! I knew it was coming, but still. It's the eyebrows. Those eyebrows just stare into my soul.
This
Do we
is
like
interesting.
it when she smiles, or is it worse?
Is that what that is? Is that a smile?
Kind of.
Is that what you're looking at? I don't know if I don't know if it is or if it isn't. A pretty big news story out today, talking about Crown CEOs, people looking after Crown entities, that sort of thing, getting a massive pay increase. Papers were listing from 90,000, which is a pretty good wicket. It's not massively wealthy, but it's a pretty good wicket, to 162,000. Now, I only tell you that to premise this conversation because she says about 400 times. Some of them were only earning $40,000. Yeah. But other ones were earning $90,000 and they just jumped to $162,000. Now, most of the time, I think most of us would say we want our public servants to actually get paid what they're worth. We need to pay good money and attract good people. The problem is this government is cutting and firing people and saying we can't afford and saying things like you can't have the nice to haves at the moment. and then just off the cuff, no warning, no notice, increases the pay of a bunch of these Crown entities, CEOs, significantly, up to 80% on top. So it's a fair question to be like, what the hell are you doing? How can you find this money? Where has it come from? Part one of this conversation. And then, of course, as I said earlier, I was very excited to see Judith on the interwebs this morning having an interview, because, of course, the biggest story in New Zealand at the moment that comes around Judith Collins is, as Attorney General, her telling her government that they will be in breach of the Bill of Rights if they stop same-day registration for the election. Here's something I thought of last night, Chewy, after I finished the show, and I tweeted it out today. Attorney General Judith Collins says that if you do this, national government colleagues, it will be a breach of the Bill of Rights. And then what happens? MP Judith Collins votes for it. Attorney General says it's a breach of human rights, it's a breach of the Bill of Rights. And then MP Judith Collins will vote for it. Just let that settle for a second. The person who's alerted the country to this change being a breach of the Bill of Rights will then go, tick, I'll put my name on that, after she's just alerted the country that it's a breach of the Bill of Rights. So I was excited about seeing her talk to Ryan Bridge. I wanted to know about all these things around that big story. And guess what? They did not mention it once. The story about the CEO's increase is a worthy story to look at. It's not the most important thing to be talking to Judith Collins about today. So let's have a look at the part of the conversation that they did want to talk about.
Good to have you on the show. Can I start first with this story from the Herald? This is about the increases, your public services minister, the increases to the amount that members of boards or chairs of boards will be paid if they're on running government agencies. Why now? Why are we doing this? And some of them up to 80% from what I can understand.
Well, some of them are also at the moment paid $40,000 a year.
Yes, and others are paid 90 and they're going to 162. That's what the article said.
Do a job that is critical for delivery of public services to the New Zealand public. So there, in fact, in many cases, people would be shocked to know how little many of these people are paid. And the comparable role in those cases in the private sector would be around 70,000. So there are some, obviously, entities where they're involved in and responsible for billions of dollars of taxpayer dollars, and also delivery of services, whether it's the blood service, it's ACC, or the Crown Research Institutes, TVNZ. These are entities where you actually want people who know what they're doing.
Do you think the board chair at TVNZ getting $40,000, Chewy?
Yeah, absolutely. It's probably
Just saying.
For families' tax credits and stuff as well.
I'm just saying this is a little bit like some families will get up to $250 a fortnight. How many? Well, some will. Just like some chairs are only on $40,000. Yeah? What are other ones on?
Not people who are just somebody who's willing to do a job which could take an awful lot of time and experience for, say, $30,000.
Is that what's happening now?
Oh, it just dropped by 10 grand. Did you notice that? I don't know what happened, because some were only earning $40,000 and now she said $30,000. Do I have 20? Do I have 20? I'm down the back road. Do I have $20,000? We shall see.
Yeah. So basically, I heard Chris Hipkins on before. I mean, he used to be at this role, public service minister. He should know the facts. Many of these people are paid basically to travel to Wellington to do the job, go home, and they miss out on all the work that they should be doing, their own businesses, but also we need experienced people. This is not a time.
So there are people in general who don't do this full time. It's more than a stipend. It's less than a salary. Everything's paid for. I mean, I don't mean Chewy for you to throw up in the back of your mouth, but think Sonny Cashel. It's something that they're not doing permanently. It's not their full-time job. They get paid for the time they're doing. And when she says some are only earning $40,000, what I want to know, Judith, is that for one day a week? What are we talking here? Because she's just said they travel to Wellington, and they can't participate in like their own business. So let's say they're dentists. So they can't do dental work for Monday and Tuesday because they're in Wellington doing these board chairs. Then they go back and they do Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Now, I'm not about paying people less. I have a philosophy in my life of paying people as much as you can, not as little as you can get away with. But I just want to bring it back to this idea that this government is cutting, is firing, is eliminating stuff, is not building houses, is not spending money anywhere, but they've found money to do this. Coming from the same woman who, when talking about buying some new helicopters, quote, the money will be found because the money has to be found. It feels like another one of those, Judith. The money will be found this time because I want the money to be found is more what it feels like.
Time to be silly about it. It's about 10 years since they had a decent pay increase. 2 or 3 years ago, they got a 10% increase because even under Labor, they couldn't get people to do the job. And we need to make sure we've got some options.
How many on our boards currently shouldn't be there?
Oh, I think there's probably quite a bit of reshuffling going to go on. Obviously, I'm talking to other ministers, and as the Public Service Minister, I'm often involved in those discussions. We simply cannot afford to keep treating some of these services as though it's nice to have. I mean, I was pretty shocked to find that large numbers of the public service now and their senior leadership teams in ministries, government agencies and departments do not have a financial controller on their senior leadership team. So I have sent a letter out to ministers about this. I have also had the public service has contacted the chief executives and said this pathetic ignoring of the finances must stop. This is something that...
I mean, if what she's saying is we definitely need to have financial experts on every board, I agree with that. I mean, that's a good thing to have. I think Ryan's about to ask a semi-good question, Joey. He wants to know about the nurses' pay, and then, of course, what happens after that is Judith lies about how much nurses get paid, which we've had squashed several times.
We never used to have, but what we've got now is there's been an awful lot of feelings, a lot of wokeisms, and a hell of a lot of delivery that hasn't been delivered.
And yet you're about to pay everyone at the top a lot more.
Well, how can you say a chairman of a board at the moment getting $40,000 is highly paid?
How we can say, Judith, is you first explaining how much work is that. This is the adage. Remember, people, we've done this.
Give us an example.
We don't talk about how much is being spent. What we want to focus on is what are we getting for it. And if it's $40,000 for a chair of a board who works one day a fortnight, that seems to be a pretty good wicket. If it's someone who's working 4 days a week away from home in Wellington, yeah, I agree, not enough. So the details is what we need to know whether what you're saying is of worthy of concern, or is for some reason you guys all of a sudden doing this all over again.
Look, the money will be found because it has to be found.
You know, is it just that again? I don't know.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, being a
How
chair,
can you
I've been in these
to be
roles.
fair-
I know how hard they are.
To be fair,
You've gotta-
how can you sit there and say that when you're offering the nurses less than inflation?
Well, nurses now, of course, highly valued. They're getting on
Are they?
average. From memory, it's around about $110,000.
Your memory fails you, Judith. Or if what you're saying from memory to what other people in my cabinet have said, that's fair enough. You can remember that, but it's not accurate what you're saying.
A year. Plus, there's other things like various other benefits that they get from it. But you're talking about these board chairs, in some cases, are responsible for millions or even billions of dollars. And actually, this is really important that we get this right. When I look at some of these board...
Nurses are responsible for dozens of lives. That doesn't rate, though, as much as millions of dollars or billions of dollars, dozens of lives. I would think that's comparable.
Board roles, I think it takes someone who really wants to give up an awful lot of time and their own money to take these roles on. And it's not just that. We need people who know what they're doing, highly experienced.
All right.
I look at something like kōrero, the housing portfolio. We've got someone in there now, knows.
Chewy, you'll be surprised. This is a great point by Ryan. It's a great point because the person from Kāinga Ora was put in place under the old salaries, and they're a great person. She's about to say, great person, but they were employed under the old schedule, and now they're getting a pay increase. So they didn't need this money to be a great person working there, did they?
People who know what they're doing, highly experienced.
All right.
I look at something like Kāinga Ora, the housing portfolio. We've got someone in there now, knows what they're doing, total turnaround. And by the way, we cannot afford to go into billions of dollars of debt on all these entities.
Yeah, but you got that person for the cheaper rate, right?
There you go.
Well, the thing is that you still have to. No, we often have to get the higher rates for things because we've been getting more and more people saying, "I won't do the job."
But hang on, address the point. You're saying we need to pay people more to get the quality for the job. Like, for example, the guy or woman, I'm not sure who it is, probably at Kāinga Ora, to which Brian points out, but you didn't have to pay more to get them. You got them under the cheaper rate, and you're saying they're fantastic. And your response to that is ibbity.
That person for the cheaper rate, right?
Well, the thing is that you still have to. No, we often have to get the higher rates for things because we've been getting more and more people saying, "Look, I won't do the job for that because I'm happy to give up another role to have the time to do it." And that's the other thing. So you do need to be competitive, but at the same time, if you're a very busy, very good and competent chair or experienced director, you've really got to want to help the country to do these jobs.
Oh my God. I hopefully haven't put everybody to
Jesus.
sleep. There was something about that. I think maybe she was just out of bed. They were maybe her morning pearls she was wearing. But it didn't, it's just easy. The two things, Stu, that you're welcome to obviously respond to now. One is this idea about paying people. I have no problems with paying people more. Like I don't, I really genuinely don't. I want to see our public servants remunerated handsomely. But if you're cutting everything and you're cutting back on, backroom staff, which means the frontline people have to actually do more work, all to save money, then the people you've got now running these boards, like the person at Kāinga Ora, who you admit is perfect, and they're turning the place around, all of a sudden just get loaded with another pay increase on top of up to 80%, right? That's nearly double. We get to ask the question, what are we getting for that? This person, this amorphous person on $40,000, how many days a week or a month are they working? What are we getting for our $40,000? You tell us that if it's, I think I saw one go past in the chat, and I think it starts, so we'll go back to it. Says some of these board chairs work a day a month. I mean, if that was the case, you'd have Christmas off, I'm assuming. So for 11 days work, 40 grand sounds pretty amazing, So we need the details. Chewy.
This is where you get caught up with a good politician or an experienced politician. There is truth in what she's saying, which I think is exactly what you're saying there, Pat. Someone with responsibility over a big budget or a big portfolio, a big board, whatever. Yes, if you're going to attract quality, you have to at least take a run at what they could get in the public sector. In the private sector. But again, it's the optics. At the same time that they're telling the police that they can't get their pay request, at the same time that they're giving
Doctors.
1% to teachers. Literally the day before the nurses go on strike for their pay round, the same time that they're telling early childhood teachers that their pay equity thing has been flushed. You turn around and you go, oh, well, we have to pay to get good people. You have to show some compensation for people that want to help the country. And at the same time, as part of the government that has literally borrowed to give directly to landlords, she goes, "Oh well, you can't borrow billions just to do this." But you are. All of these things that you've been talking about, Judith, are not siloed. They are part of your government, and it is very clear that the people at the top get more and the workers get 5/10 of fuck all. This is unsustainable.
I know we've talked about this a dozen times, and we've had people far more informed than us talking about it. But this whole $110,000 for nurses, here is the nurses' pay scales, and it's written up in a way that I'm never going to understand. So I'm happy that AI did a little summary for me. In New Zealand, registered nurses can expect to earn between 74,000 and 153,000. Remember, she said they're earning 110. Okay, just remember that. If you are an entry-level graduate registered nurse, 74 to 76,000. If you're an experienced registered nurse, 79,000 to 107,000. If you are a senior clinical nurse manager, 80 to 122. So it's not that nurses earn 110, it's that some nurses who are at a senior clinical manager level can, because notice what it says from 80. So some people in that position earn less than 100K, but some earn more. So can earn 110,000. So yes, some nurses can earn 110,000 with years of experience, management responsibilities, etc., etc., etc. That's very different from nurses earn $110,000. So you're not allowed to just put out there that these guys are on such a good wicket. And before you jump in, Shui, because this is where I saw it, Wahiki, nurse here, finally making around 110K after 25 years experience, master's degree in a management role, in my opinion, not enough. I agree with you, Wahiki. That's why we're not saying that these people shouldn't be paid more. What we're saying is they're scapegoating you guys, you nurses, they're using you, they're lying about you to try and fund these board chairs for some reason. We don't know why they've been given a pay rise. Just, it sounds like because bloody, 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 trickle down, because bloody, 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 public sector, because bloody, 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 compete. You know what? You're not going to compete with the CEO or the board chair of ANZ Bank, who might do a day's work a month. It's not going to happen. So give us the details. And if you are going to give massive increases, and I got the story out to make sure I could show you guys, just so you knew. And it was one of the examples given. And of course, I've gone and put it somewhere. Here we go. RNZ. I'll bring it up. Hang on a sec. On RNZ, Cabinet ministers defend hiking board fees for Crown bodies. Cabinet document quietly uploaded online on Monday. There you go. Didn't want to know too much about it. Shows ministers agreed to lift the maximum annual fee for chairs of governance boards from $90 to about $162,000. What work are these guys and girls doing? Show me. I want their stubs. I want to see them clocking in and clocking out. I want to know what my money's getting me, Chewy. And then the other thing, which you haven't had a chance to respond to yet, is no talk about Bill of Rights, which is possibly the biggest news story in New Zealand news, certainly political news at the moment, certainly the biggest story involving Judith Collins. Ryan Bridge, we won't talk about that. And I'll say it again.
Just go.
I suspect, right, and I'd place a wager on this, that he got told you couldn't talk about it. She's only come on the understanding that wouldn't be talked about. Like I said, I wouldn't accept that interview. But what are your thoughts, Joey?
So last time we were talking about nurses' wages, and apparently they're all on $110,000 and driving around in yachts. I asked my sister, who's a nurse, and she's somewhere north of 90 grand and certainly south of 100 grand. And she said, look, I get that by sticking my hands up for every extra shift that I can handle. She works fucking hard for that money. And I think certainly here in the Otago Hospital, they're short-staffed. There's the hiring freeze that isn't a hiring freeze. I saw a story the other day that said the latest graduating class, only 60% got hired when it's usually 80%. So where do all those nurses go? Do they sit patiently and wait for a slot? No, they fuck off.
Hey, can I tell the people the story we heard on Friday night? So Chloe Swarbrick standing up the front talking to this group of supporters, perhaps, I guess, and they got asked, there was a question asked from the audience, and Chloe said, my best mate's retraining to be a nurse, and she said they got asked in class the other day who will be planning on going to Australia, and 90% of the class put their hand up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's first-hand account. Well, I guess it's second-hand account because it goes from Chloe's mate to Chloe to us. So second-hand account of the people who are training in New Zealand right now to be nurses are not going, because we have to go. In training, whilst they're training, they're planning on leaving New Zealand to go to Australia. That's what our current system has got set up. That's the legacy of this government in the health system.
So, talking about how much nurses get paid, I want to talk about how the study is long and hard. The hours, the actual job when you get there, if you get there, the job has very long hours and is very hard. And the consequences for making a mistake at your job is someone could die, or you could lose your career. And we're talking about, what is it, a 3.5% pay rise?
Something like that.
And the government's saying no. But then Judith Collins happy to go on an interview and say, hey, look, man, nurses are valued. Do you know how you value nurses? You fucking pay them what they're worth. Whatever you can manage is still not going to be, in my opinion, what a nurse is worth. But we now have a very dangerous chain happening where we're training nurses to go overseas and then we're importing nurses from somewhere else. It's stupid and it's unsustainable. Like, the system is broken. But yet these guys can wave a wand and just across the board increase these pay rates for board chairs. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't an argument that those guys need more money. I'm just commenting purely on the ease and I guess the underhandedness of just sneaking it in there, that we're raising those wages while we tell nurses that they can't have what they think they're worth, while we're telling teachers that they're not worth what they're asking for, while we tell the police that they're not worth what they're asking for either. Yeah. And we just want to cruise on the fact that these guys want to do something good for their community, and that's great because they can do that in the absence of money.
Interesting, because what they're saying is the people like in the police and in the nursing and all that, they're because they're passionate about it, they're in it in part for the passion, yet when it comes to the board chairs, it's only about the money. So she's literally saying, we've got to pay these people what they're worth. We have to increase these board chairs because it's all about the money. It's all about competing with the private sector. Yet for nurses, it's like, well, they do it. You can't really pay a nurse what they're worth. We'll never get there. They're doing it for the love. It's like the opposite. No. Why don't you treat them both the same? Why can't the board chairs be doing it for the love? Or why can't the nurses be getting paid what the private sector would do and pay them what they're worth? You seem to be wanting to have your cake and eat it too.
And let's talk about those board chairs because, as you said, one of the things is it's not a full-time job. A lot of responsibility, a lot of budget responsibility and that sort of thing, probably. But it is not their only gig a lot of the time. Like we talk about Levy, about how he's doing another job on the side and that sort of thing. Is this something that they do a couple of days a week and then they go to their other gig? So this governance board thing that they're doing is a side hustle. Maybe it's a hobby that they're interested in. It's weird, but it is not by any means a traditional job.
Yeah, no, very true. All right, let's keep going. Nick says Kia ora ana from the Cook Islands. Just flexing a little bit there. That's fine. Just flex away.
Have a fruity cocktail.
P. Donald Trumpedo. Trumpedo sounds like some kind of missile, doesn't it? It's the Trumpedo.
Launch the Trumpedo.
Well, that sounds wrong. What?
Did you see, just a tangent since we're talking about Trump, have you seen all the footage of him cheating at golf?
Mm-hmm.
So funny.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, everyone's going like, well, he's not playing a competitive round. They're just playing for speed. And that actually might be true. I know that I played golf. We were just hacking around if we if we hit it off into the bush, we just throw another one on the fairway and keep going for fun. But the thing is, you got to put that up against all the people who've said what a terrible cheat he is. Like all the professional golfers, athletes, musicians that have played with him, they say he just cheats constantly. And he's a bad...
Cheats
one of the
in
things
relationships, cheats at business, cheats at politics.
One of the things he does is he always wants to tee off first, and then he takes off down the fairway. And there's lots of accounts of people who are playing with him that saw with the eye that the ball went off to the left or it went into the bush or whatever, and he takes off really quickly. And then when they come over the ridge and they see Trump and he's right in the middle of the fairway, going, "I found my ball. It was right here in the middle of the fairway." So he's just, and then he only wins tournaments at his golf clubs. I wonder why. Kiwi Bird, NZ first, I guess, making New Zealand cancerous again. Ken says Judith Collins never smiles, she only smirks. Board members don't work full time, says Mike. Some do one day a month, some do one day a week. A lot are on multiple boards at a time. Kathy says a lot of people that sit on boards sat on multiples. So we'll pull down an extortionate salary for a few days a week. Yep. And I wonder if we're going to be cynical and go, like, they look at, is this boys for our mates again? Or jobs for our mates, jobs for the boys?
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Do ex-pollies sit on governance boards?
Or for themselves. Maybe Judith wants her back scratched when she leaves politics. Waihiki says, you hit it on the head, Chewy. There's no single organisation monitoring the number of immigrant nurses entering the country. DHBs employ them without thinking about the jobs for new grads. I mean, like, when I went through Teachers Training College, there was this conversation around, is it called bonding? You bond someone to New Zealand. So they train for nothing, and then they spend at least 4 years working at a New Zealand school, or 2 years, whatever it is. And if you leave early, you have to pay all the education back. I mean, it seems such an easy solution. If SIT can do zero fees, if they can figure it out, then why can't nursing schools do zero fees with some kind of bonding? Teachers as well. Any of those kind of service industries that are publicly employed, teachers, nurses, these ones doctors that we need in our system, bond them back to New Zealand. So make the actual courses extortionately expensive, so not too cheap, so they just take off anyway and pay it back. And then they have to stay here for a few years and give us their time. Maybe they meet up with a nice young man or woman and they have kids, and then we've got them forever, Chewy. We can snatch them forever.
But that won't happen, because everybody knows that the nice eligible men are tradies, and they're all gone.
Very excited, Chewy, to see Te Ao with Moana being back up and running again, and we're going to have a look at a bit of a conversation. There's several clips to play. Most of them are under 2 minutes.
Sorry, just before you get into this, I just want to say straight off the bat, is my favourite part of this interview is when Winston tries to lunge across the desk at her. We'll get to that bit.
I thought that this was an exercise bike for a while. This frame over here.
It's a defensive shield.
Winston's got his exercise machine in there for keeping himself young and healthy. Okay, guys. There's a few clips to play. We'll see what we get through. There's some that I certainly want to play, others that are less important. So we're starting off basically halfway through the show. We're already at 16 and a half minutes. If you guys want to go and check it out for yourself, it's on Māori Television, or you can get it on YouTube. It's on their YouTube channel as well. This is 16 minutes in, where they talk about Israel's war crimes. It's interesting because Moana asks about war crimes. Winston says, well, we don't know if they're war crimes. And then Winston agrees that they're war crimes. It's a bizarre... We'll go through it slowly, Whānau. Here we go.
You see what I mean?
Why can't you call out Israel for its war crimes in terms of mass starvation?
Now, here you go and you say it's a war crime. This matters before an international court. The adjudication hasn't happened, but you found the result already, and you're not a judge.
Don't you think so?
No, you're not.
So he's saying to her, you don't know if it's war crimes or not.
Not a jurist, you're not a judge. My point is, this has yet to be analysed by an international court and decided that way. But having gone there...
That's actually not true. Is it the IJC? Is it the IJC? Have I got the right acronym there? And have crimes against humanity for Netanyahu, whatever it was. So anyway, we'll leave them keep going.
You think, forget their finding, forget the hearing, we'll just come to the conclusion now. That's not the way international politics works. That's not the way respectable law works either.
What is going to make a difference? We have.
Well, the facts will make a difference.
You could, as Francesca Albanese suggested, impose sanctions on Israeli goods. We could close down the Israeli embassy. We could stop those special visas for members of the IDF that are coming here for a holiday.
So it would make you feel good if we close down the Israeli embassy and we're no longer talking to you.
I'm just wanting clarification.
What exactly would it do? Would it help at all when you need people to talk to? And we've got the Russian embassy. We've got everybody else here, even in the middle of the Ukraine.
Are we talking to them?
The invasion
Winston?
of Ukraine.
We don't know.
Why? It's better to be able to talk to people.
But what are the further actions?
No conversation.
What are the actions?
What do you mean, what are the actions?
Because in the statement, it made it very clear.
No, you and your like-minded people can't suggest one compelling
Very smart, talented, good-looking, like-minded. Is that what we're saying, these people?
thing that will change the outcome. But you keep on spouting it out because you don't understand the difficulty, the complexity of international
What is so difficult?
engagement.
What is so difficult? There's thousands of people starving over there, forced displacement.
Well, I'm fully aware of that.
Difficult?
I'm fully
Starving, forced displacement, I'm fully aware of that. Winston doesn't want Moana to say what a war crime is. Moana then lists 2 war crimes, and Winston says, I'm fully aware of that. So Winston has made the determination already that war crimes are being committed. So at the start of this clip, we don't know, got to leave that up to a court. Forced displacement, categorically, carte blanche, no other rules around it, is a war crime, and he agrees that they're doing it. So he agrees in this interview that they are committing war crimes.
the difficulty, the complexity of international
What is so difficult?
engagement.
What is so difficult? There's thousands of people starving over there, forced displacement.
Well, I'm fully
What's
aware
so
of that.
difficult?
I'm fully aware of that. But have you spoken to the Egyptians? I have. No, you all stop. Have you spoken to the Palestinian Authority? No, none of you have. I have. Have you spoken to the people, that biggest Muslim country in the world in one place, namely Indonesia? No, but I have, not once, 5 times. I've spoken all...
I call bullshit. Sorry, I just call bullshit that name came out your ass. You just wanted to make it sound like it. That's personal opinion.
around the world and talk to all sorts of people about it. And so they understand the difficulty. Excepting here, we got these untrammeled experts with no information who think that their view is more valuable than, for example, the Palestinian Authority. When I say to the Palestinian Authority, how difficulty in recognizing you is, we say that we want you to be in charge of a Palestinian state. But can you understand that we want to see how you're going to establish that? And the moment you can show us that, with the authority of your people, we've achieved it.
So this is a really strange interview. It's strange in a couple of ways. Winston, several times in this interview, and I'm not going to overtly show it to you, it's very Trumpian, seems to want to be congratulated. I know one of the clips has got it, but honestly, there's probably 4 times where he says something along the lines of, and we didn't get credit for that. Like how Trump says it. Trump, $60 million to Gaza he was talking about today, and no one thanked us. At least the thanks should come. Like it sounds like that. The other thing is, it feels like Moana is, and I'm going to ask you this one day, it seems like Moana is actually addressing this in a way that she's kind of, she's not being flippant with him, but the style that she's using is more kind of jollying him along. And there's a particular part further down that we're going to play later about Māori wardens, and you can see that she jollies him along, and she gets him to say yes, we did that, and we should get credit for it, and then she links it to something else. I'll save the surprise for you, and then he goes, oh no, that's wrong. Although he's just basically made the case for it for himself because she's jollied him along. So it was interesting to watch him, and you do often get the talking to uncle vibes in this conversation between the two of them. You know, you get that thing of, oh, okay, so this is, the uncle's just finished his glass of whiskey, it's Christmas Day, and you're having a bit of an argument about politics. That's kind of what it sounds like. But anyway, Chewy, first thoughts?
My first thoughts is, like, if he's going to talk about, like, no, we can't close the Russian and Israeli embassies because we need to talk to them. Can you tell us what you've been talking to them about? Can you tell us how often you're talking to them? Can you tell us why Helen Clark saw fit to cancel the credentials of the Israeli ambassador when Mossad agents were stealing the identities of dead children for their fake passports? That was enough. That didn't go to a public referendum. That was just a leader that said, no, you've done espionage here. Get fucked. Off you go. We've done it before. You know, him talking about how your average layperson can't look at something that is clearly a war crime, could look up on the internet what the definitions of a war crime are, what war crimes have happened in the past, and then look at what's happening there and go, well, this is definitely a war crime. We don't have to wait for an international criminal court to be able to recognise that. Like, is he looking in the Dom Post and the New Zealand Herald and not seeing pictures of people in concentration camps on the front page, so therefore it's not happening, and he's completely unaware of how much people get this pumped into the misery rectangle that's in their hand 24/7, enough to recognise that this is actually a very bad thing? Like, he's taking our questions about can New Zealand do more about this as a personal slight against him.
Yeah. I know I've said this before, and some people may find this disrespectful, and it's not. It's more of an observation. But you know, my old man passed away at 83 a couple of years ago, and you get to a certain age where you just start communicating differently and saying things differently, and the whole it's not part of Winston's past. And it does feel like someone who has gotten very, very old and is, I'm not saying struggling to put a sentence together because he's still communicating, but it's just, I was going to say 40% slower. It's 20 to 30% slower. And even some of the words that come out aren't quite there. And like, I honestly, I'm not trying to throw shade on age, but I'm also going, you know, most people out there don't give their 83-year-old the remote control for the TV because they need to be in control of it. You know, Winston's got control of the, well, he did have up until recently, control of the deputy prime ministership and the Minister of Foreign Affairs cabinet position and stuff. And I just wonder if he's past it. God, remember we showed that, you came up with that picture from the night. Came up with that picture from the 1990s that showed that cartoon feature of Winston saying he was past it in the 1990s. Hilarious. Anyway,
he is. His hands are shaking. He's slurring his words. Like, if I sent him an email with a PDF in it, could he open it on his phone without asking for assistance? That's my yardstick of whether you're living in this world or not. Yeah. So what is he like in a high pressure environment when he's been flown to somewhere in a plane for hours? And then he's going to represent New Zealand in a negotiation.
And the difficulty will be, like, he shouldn't get, this should be his final round. He should retire. And the difficulty will be is if he continues on, and if he gets back in, and there's every chance that he would, as the number one in the list position for New Zealand First, that another 3 years on top of this, he will start to become the shadow of his former self, and that will become his legacy. How far has it fallen since the wine box? You know, people think about Winston and his legacy now, and they go gold card, and you're like, yeah, well, you know, it's basically a store card, gold card. It just puts all the other things onto one easy to use location, and the more you do this, the more you fall backwards, the more you'll be remembered as that fallen backwards politician, not the firebrand from the 80s, you know, taking governments to task.
Hey, without spoiling the broth, do you hear the clip of him talking about his legacy?
Not sure.
Okay.
To be fair, not sure.
There's a bit where Moana asks him about his legacy, and he bristles at that. And I just want to say, because if he pops his clogs tomorrow, what is Winston's legacy? And I'll tell you what it is. It's racism. He has weaponized racism against outsiders for as long as I can remember. He has played to bigoted, small-minded views of white New Zealanders for his entire career. That's his legacy.
I actually think I wouldn't say
that in the
quite
gold
like
card.
that. Because I would say you and I are too young to remember intimately his behaviour in the 80s and 90s so much, but certainly since the 2000s, whether it's Asians buying houses or whether it's Māori language or whatever, I think that's probably been a higher on his agenda level. So I guess your legacy should be your full body of work, but I think you're right in that that'll be the last the last 20 years of his reign. Yeah, and so it'll be something like that.
I'll slightly change that. Not racism, bigotry.
Xenophobia.
Because he's moved away from that now. The woke trans people that are ruining sport. He's always latched on to that. So yes, Winston Peters' legacy is bigotry. Big neon letters, all caps.
On that point, next clip is only 60 seconds, and it's these two guys talking about David Seymour's letter to the UN.
The UN, these are important bodies, right? All these international bodies. And I'm just thinking too that David Seymour wrote to the UN official who was doing his job, I guess.
And this is one of those moments that really does feel like talking to Uncle. When you just come back a bit.
And said, as an Indigenous New Zealander myself, I'm deeply aggrieved by your audacity in presuming to speak on my behalf of my fellow
I'm sorry he's withdrawn that letter because he had no right to write it.
Yeah, I know, but it's a bit rich, that he wrote that, given you're the Minister of Foreign Affairs and a Māori.
Well, we all know that, but you people have sort of carried the narrative, and my answer to you is...
Who's you people?
Watch this space and you'll be far better informed when it's all over.
So this is classic Winston. Like, I'm not going to tell you anything, but I promise you when I do, it's going to be really important.
The Prime Minister seemed to agree with him. So are you all on the same page?
Again, watch this space. And when it's all over, you'll know what happens. And you'll be pleased that some people with experience do know what they're doing in this job, and that some people are learning and hopefully are going to be more improved in their future behaviour.
Yeah, no, I mean, you were all about diplomatic credibility, so that was a bit of a hoo-ha, wasn't it?
There you go. Uncle. Have a bit of a laugh at the end. The next clip as well is very much Uncle. Maybe we'll just roll straight into the next clip, Chewy, because we had quite a big chat about the last one.
Can I just say one thing real quick, just about Moana? I've said this before. Moana has a really interesting interview style. Mm-hmm. Like her interview with Shane Jones, I've said this before, I will continue saying it. To the best of my knowledge, Moana is the only person that's really got behind the facade of Shane Jones. The theatrics, the hyperbole, all of that stuff. She just basically gets him to admit that it's all an act. And I think you'd agree with me here. Winston would have to be the most challenging person to interview. His prickliness, his cunning, his aggressiveness with interviewers. It's pretty intimidating.
I find it fun. I mean, I've probably interviewed him 10, 15 times. And one of the problems is it is fun. And if you're not careful, you can get sucked into the game. And even in this interview, my last clip that I've got to play for you it's titled, "He's Funny, It's a Problem." Because the bit right at the end, I laughed out loud when he said it. He took the piss. Yep. He's funny. He's entertaining. But as someone just said in the chat that I put up, there is a decline going on there. And it's a bit the same, like I say, as my dear old dad. My dad had a great sense of humour, but when he got to the point where he was just 1 or 2 steps beyond being 100% there, and I'm not saying, he was shitting himself or anything, but it was harder to find the line between what is funny and what is appropriate. And some things that were said to be funny came out as like just not appropriate or mean as well. And that's when I say I can hear my dad and Winston. That's what I hear.
I see it literally every day in my job. And it is you get to that sort of 70, you see a clear decline in people. Yeah. Not everybody, but you do see it.
This next clip is another talking to Uncle, and it's actually it's a couple of minutes, but it's interesting because it's a conversation around neoliberalism, and Moana is very straight at him. It's like, but you're anti-neoliberalism. How are you with these guys? It's an interesting little conversation. So let's have a listen to that now.
Okay, so it's not looking too good out there for a whole bunch of ordinary New Zealanders.
Talking to Uncle.
It never did look
We've
for
got
it.
no.
It
It
looked-
has exacerbated since your government has been in.
Oh, I see. You came with a predilection that you're going to say what the outcome is, even though we inherited an absolute financial
Oh,
mess.
that's what the Prime Minister
No,
keeps saying.
I'm not saying it. I'm saying this with experience. I wasn't born yesterday. I'm saying we came with a massive borrowing program that was unjustified, no way of paying it back. Inflation was hit.
Unfortunately, and Moana is one of the best at doing this. I'm not going to critique her, but this would be a fantastic place to have gone. And how much did Nicola just borrow in those last two budgets? Am I right in that she borrowed more in the last budget, one before this one, than all bar one of Grant Robinson's, and the only one that was more that was in the thick of COVID? Is that right, Mr. Peters? Is that right? So I think, unfortunately, there was a miss here. But again, I am not worthy. I am not worthy to say that to Moana. I should have thought.
Heading towards 8%. Everything was looking a total disaster, and they couldn't even put together the.
So you've gone back to what they did wrong. I just want to say we're moving on. You've been in power for 18 months.
Unlike others, I campaigned in 2023 when none of you would cover a word of my speeches, even though we're packing the horse.
No, please. I sat down with
telling
you.
you all the situation is.
How dismissive that was from her. See, that's Uncle. It's like, dude, shut up. I didn't hide it from you. You came and spoke to me. It's perfect.
Speeches, even though we're packing the horse.
No, please. I sat down with
telling
you.
you all the situation is far worse than you people think. It'll be far harder to fix it. Only one party got it right, and you're talking at the party.
You railed against neoliberalism and the trickle-down theory, and there's so many people out there taking off to Australia. There's towns like Tokoroa where the travel agent is offering one-way tickets, cheap ones, so people can get out of here. There's 20,000 people who applied for a job.
People are having their OE 50 years ago, 60 years ago.
Oh my God, they're not going for OE.
Listen to me. We've heard enough of you.
Oh,
This interview's about what I think, not what you think.
I got to ask you the
Here's real
questions. That's
point
my
here.
job.
They were going there for the OE with one-way tickets way back then.
This is a really bizarre thing. So Winston's actually sitting there saying, no, Kiwis aren't leaving New Zealand permanently every 7 minutes. They're just going on an OE and they'll be back. Now, there's no evidence. What he's saying is not untrue, that people used to go to the UK for their OEs, with a one-way ticket. But also there's no evidence that that's what's happening now. And he's putting all his eggs in that basket that that's what's happening now. And there's no evidence to back him up.
But we know we're losing people to Australia, not to the UK, not to Europe.
Yeah. You don't do an OE to Sydney typically, do you? You do an OE to London and see the rest of the world while you're there. All right.
Who wants to fly 4 hours
I gotta ask
to
you the question.
basically the same place?
Real
That's
point
my
here.
job.
They were going there for the OE with one-way tickets way back then, all the way to the UK.
Oh, you've just
Guess
twisted
why?
that
'Cause
one around.
As young people, they couldn't afford to get two-way tickets. You must be from a very wealthy family. The poor ones like us have one-way ticket.
The rich
to go
have-
work for a mining camp, work 11 miles underground. That's what we
The
would
rich
do.
have got richer. The rich have got richer. The food banks are under stress. Homeless people can't get into emergency shelter because the criteria have changed. You know all that.
I
But
know.
you were
I know.
against neoliberalism.
No. Don't tell me that neoliberalism took us to that situation. Who was governing
That was
with
rough.
no restraint at all from 2020 to 2023? For 3 years, they blew the whole economy out, borrowed like there was no tomorrow. ACT and National's great mistake was to not underestimate how bad it was. But it's not our mistake.
Okay, so it's all their fault. So you've been going on for a while.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we're cutting out anyway. Yeah, I mean, you said rough when he stumbled there. I don't want to make too much of it. I mean, I'm the last person to look to when you're getting tongue-tied. I use the wrong words every single night. But what I'll say of Winston is there is a change, a noticeable change. Now that's actually not necessarily a criticism. It's actually not a criticism. All of us will have change when we get to that sort of age. My question now is the change impacting his ability to do what he's done for the past 37 years, Chewy? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm going to come back. Him and Shane Jones came down to Dunedin a few months ago to officially open the Hillside Works.
Yep.
And I was outside yelling at them through a megaphone, but I knew people that were inside for the actual event itself. And that's, I'm going to paraphrase what I was told here, but Shane Jones did his speech, and it was described to me by the person going, I know I don't like Shane Jones and his politics and what he stands for, but his speech was good. Like, it made perfect sense. He was talking about what an important asset that Hillside Works was for Dunedin and the South Island, and it would keep rail alive, all of that good stuff. And then Winston came on and slurred and rambled, wandered off point, blamed the previous government for stuff, and basically didn't talk about much about Hillside Works at all.
Mm-hmm.
And he described what was going on in the room as just awkwardness of just people sort of like looking at the person next to them and going, ugh. You know, there is a clear difference in him and his deputy. And
So this will be the time to step aside. Like, you want to leave a legacy. Yeah, you want to step aside now.
You would step aside if you knew that the guy that you'd been working beside for so long was capable of doing it.
Yep. Yep. I mean,
New Zealand First has always been Winston's party.
Winston First, yeah. But he should be party president next time round, and Shane Jones should be number one. They've got to do it at some stage. I think they're probably a better move if Winston Peters steps aside and then endorses than Winston Peters dies in the middle of a term, and then they got to try and figure out how they're going to do the next election without Winston. But then again, it depends. Is this man an egomaniac and he needs to be number one and nothing else will do or not? I don't know the answer to that. But the smartest thing to do, I think, would be to step aside this time around to crown the next leader and to go around the country and fight for him and for New Zealand First as you retire off into politics, to go fishing for the last, who knows, hopefully 3, 4, 5 years.
You ride his horse on the beach, smoke cigars and sit in the sun. You know, like, I don't like the fact that this guy has been so dominant in his style of politics for my entire lifetime. You know, it doesn't sit well. And in my opinion, he's the best argument for term limits for public service. Like, it's just enjoy your 20 years and leave the rest of us to it.
And when I say egomaniac, people in the chat are reacting. I guess we all know he's got an ego. I guess what I'm trying to say is he a narcissist or a sociopath rather than egomaniac? Because if he's a narcissist, he can't stand aside. It's not possible. And if he's he can't step aside it because that's a part of the narcissist being the center of the universe and that. But the narcissist in and of itself is a vulnerable person who is basically scared and fragile on the inside. Where I've forgotten the word now, it just jumped out of my head. A sociopath is someone who likes to actually see other people in pain. That wouldn't be necessarily what we're looking at here, although, you know, people of New Zealand in pain. So if he's a narcissist, he can't step aside. If he is just an egomaniac, because if you're a narcissist, you think that you staying there is the only way it can happen. It's the only way for it to go because this can't survive without you. If you're an egomaniac, if you've got an ego, he does, he still might have the wherefore to go, and how I carry my legacy for the next 100 years is for me to step aside now. So he might be able to be a part of it. Anyway, I want to keep going because there's a couple more clips. And this one is the two of them talking about the RSB, Regulatory Standards Bill.
We're all hoping that Winston
that when it comes to the regulatory standards.
Well, that's what it's about. Winston basically says, I'm going to stop it. And when Moana goes, oh, good, you're going to stop it. I think this is one of the moments where he kind of goes, this is the leading him down the line. This is what I wonder if Moana has made a conscious decision on how to handle this interview in particular. And she basically, you know, when you congratulate someone for something they haven't really said or done, but they've kind of implied it. And after you congratulate them for doing it, they're kind of stuck having to acknowledge or to do it. It's sort of what she does here.
Standards bill, it's a work in progress, right? You've said that. You're going to make changes, right?
Yes.
So, and the big criticism is that all past and future law will be measured against key Act principles. So what New Zealand First principles are missing?
Well, if you go and extrapolate slowly, phrase by phrase, your question, the answer lies in that. You began by saying what New Zealand First is going to do, and then you forgot all about it and talked about what you thought was the threat. Sorry, the two don't match.
No, so the core principle, What's missing? What's missing in that bill?
Well, what's missing is the truth from your question. And I'm not answering to lies. That is not happening.
Oh, the RSB. You're not supporting it.
Not in the way that you think and not the way the media conceive it.
You're not supporting it. How come?
Everybody knows that. Because when
What changes it?
No, listen. I don't know why I'm sitting here.
Everybody does not know that, Winston. David Seymour does not know that you're not supporting the RSB. Luxon might be more of a don't worry about it. He gets quite shirty here about his principles because she kind of see what she's just done. Oh, okay, so you're saying you're not going to support it. That's what I'm saying. And he gets a bit shitty about her asking questions about his principles because apparently he's the most principled man in New Zealand politics has ever seen.
Because when
What changes it?
No, listen. I don't know why I'm sitting here answering 101 questions.
Well, that's your
We
job. It's
said
your
that you can.
job.
We said you can take it to the select committee,
Yeah.
but we have these caveats and these codicils, and they'll still be there at the end of it, unless it's satisfactory. That's the situation.
So if
why are you rushing to judgment and talking about?
I'm not. I'm congratulating you on behalf of the thousands of New Zealanders who made submissions and are really concerned about the constitutional impact of that bill.
Well, with great respect to those people who made all those submissions, New Zealand First has been in this game for a long time, and we have certain fundamental principles we stand up for.
Yeah.
Not when it's convenient, not when it suits us, but because we're committed to them.
So if those
So
principles.
why are you worried or not? Why do you think for a moment we'd miss the point about this sort of, about legislation when it's wrong?
Oh no, that's good. No, that's good because
Rough.
people will be uplifted to know that you will stand on principle at the end of the day
There you go.
when it comes to this bill, right?
You know something? I spent more time spending my money and my time on principles and going to court all the way to the Privy Council at the expense of over millions of dollars doing it than all you journalists all put together. And for you to say to me that I'll stand up on principle, what do you think my life's been about? You show me where I've self-enriched myself. Taking a knighthood, taking an honours, taking even...
I can show you one. I won't take the baubles of office. Took the baubles of office. There's one. I'm just going to do one. Just one.
ambassador's job, all of which has been offered to me. And you have the audacity to ask me that question.
That's not being audacity. I'm just
No,
trying
no,
to do
you-
my job.
I just think you journalists are so damn frivolous.
Oh, how do
You
I
are
get-
so Scottish
Oh.
about your own money, and I've gone in there for hundreds of thousands of dollars, taking it all on against the world and won, and you think that I'm here just for myself?
I'd never said that. You're getting a bit
No,
triggered.
No, I'm getting triggered because your question infers with a great casual blandishment that some people in politics aren't there for principle and for what they stand
That
for.
is not.
Yeah, I know it's rough, and I don't want to. I'm not actually. We went longer there than I thought we were going to, since my notes said. But yeah, he got pretty triggered is the right word there by that. Look, we've got.
That was a feedback loop.
Yeah,
I don't think he realised why he was angry.
I've got. So maybe I'll just try and do one more clip, and then I'll show you the ending bit that I think he's funny, and it's a problem because you can get sucked in by it. This is the bit where he's talking about Māori wardens, and this is where Moana beautifully and delicately goes, "You've got targeted funding for a race, which is your government doesn't do this. How have you done that?" And he explains why, and then she basically says, "Yeah, like the Māori Health Authority," and then no, it's different. No, it's different. No, it's different. So this is the best example of her leading him down the path, gently holding him by the hand. "Come on, Uncle Winnie, come this way. Now this is what you've said." "Oh shit, I didn't mean to say that."
Sorry, I should be smiling and trying to answer your question, but actually, my frustration of it is
Don't be
that
like
somebody
that.
walks into my room and asks me, "You're going to stand up for things you said you're going to stand up for," and my record is to do that like no other politician.
By the way, congratulations on getting $13 million across to Māori Women's Welfare League and the Māori Wardens. That was good.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you must have put up a hell of a fight to do that.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, because
Not for the first time.
yeah, but
I
because
put the Māori Women's Welfare League on a separate footing way back, guess when? 1991.
bless. They
I
need
supported
to.
the Māori Wardens way back then. Who else has done that?
Yeah.
So I'm
But
just
it's
going to
just,
be
it's just that the environment that we're
I'm not
in
a
now.
modest person, but I'm not going to stand here and not recite.
I was congratulating you.
Thank you very much.
What is
Because
It took me an
innocent,
extraordinary long time to interview to get to
Praise me. Tell me I'm
Why
a good
is he
boy.
fighting the praise though? Like he's getting the praise and then he's get angry that it's somehow not enough. because he hasn't acknowledged the long history of Winston Peters' existence from the dawn of fucking time when he invented the Maori wardens. Jesus.
That part.
Don't be titchy. Now, no, it's just because Nicola Willis has said what's good for all New Zealanders is good for Māori, and David Seymour has said targeted funding is racial profiling. So you must have gone humdinger to get that amount of money.
Look, when you hear people making absolute statements
Hey,
that
it's
don't
crazy,
relate to
eh?
truth. No, but hang on, look, who was the person that went out? There was a Maori family that was dying of cancer. It's a serious one area of New Zealand, and they had a phenomenon, totally disproportionate cancer record. We went out, put the medical research into it, and found the answer to their
You notice that? For Māori, that's what he's talking about. For Māori, disproportionate.
problem. None of you even know about that, but guess who did that? And I can give you an example, Mount Hikurangi, West Coast leases. I could sit here all day and all night for the next 3 months giving you our record. But yes, again, for the umpteenth time, we supported the New Zealand Maori Women's League because they are a dynamic group.
They are.
And in time, they can get a greater spread, a greater reach for more reasonable funds.
No one's
as can the
fighting you on
Maori
that.
wardens.
Yeah, but
I
I'm
just
just
will
saying,
say,
I'm
but
just
understood.
saying, big shout out to you for actually securing that in a government where targeted Māori funding isn't exactly top of the pops.
Yeah, but when you say what's happened here is you've got these people who are absolutists in their views. If, for example, one group of our population has a propensity to get a certain illness, then that needs targeted funding.
Did you pick up what he said? If one group needs targeted funding, then that's fine.
Has a propensity to get a certain illness, then that needs targeted funding.
Yes.
Not on the basis of race, on the basis of need.
Yeah.
Need
so-
is the
and
cause.
that's what we talked about last time.
Yes.
So Māori
I'm glad
had
you
more
remembered.
need. Māori required targeted funding, which is why the Māori Health Authority was set up because of that need. And it's all gone burger.
No,
All gone burger.
no, you're going so far until you said that. When the Health Authority was set up, it was set up not on empirical evidence, not on any scientific research. No, just on the basis this would be a good idea.
And then he backpedals pretty heavily, Chewy. We've taken too long on doing this now. I apologise, guys, but I'm going to give you one more bit just because this is the very end. It's only 20 seconds or something, I think. I know, I haven't even got it queued up. The thing about Winston Peters, and I'll stump up to this, is you can get caught up in his, I don't know what you'd call it. You know, he's fun. I've said this to you before. He's fun to interview. And I'm not saying in a good or a bad way. I'm just telling you the reality of jousting with him can be fun, or jousting with him in the past could be fun. And I just thought he showed that at the end of this conversation. Moana talks about offering him one of her songs, and he's like, "Oh, you should give that to someone who's going to lose, because I wouldn't have it, because I knew the winners go with me." And it was that moment that you kind of go, that's that Winston of old who you need to be aware of, because he does have. What's the word? Not character. I'm trying to think of the word. You know, joie de vie, that sort of thing about him. And you can get dazzled by it.
Your theme song, you know, I've had it in my head. I get knocked down, I get up again. What will be your theme song as you head into the next election?
I'd love you to tell you
By the way, he won't even tell you that. It's weird.
tactics and plans with anybody. They can't keep it a secret. They tell the whole world, and all of a sudden our competitors know. And so as much as I like to tell you, I have to tell you, you'd be most wise to go and tell your audience, stand back and watch, because help's on its way.
So,
By the way, that was a great zoom. Did you notice that zoom just before the help's on the way? Watch it again.
Tell your audience, stand back and watch, because help's on its way.
So
so what about treaty?
So
I've got a song. If you guys turn out to be a champion of the treaty, you can have one of my songs.
But I'm not trying to go to political oblivion. So give it to some other party, would you? That's the difference.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Objectively funny. I'm not trying to go to political oblivion. Give it to somebody else. Anyway, Chewy, as I said, that was longer by about an hour than I thought it would be. We've got one more story to go. But if you want to wrap up on anything you've just seen, feel free.
I can't wait for the end of Winston Peters. Like, I'm going to put a caveat on that as a politician. You say he's fun to joust with.
He was.
I'm sure that's true.
Yeah.
But I can't divorce that from what a divisive, bigoted position that he's taken for the entirety of his career in my memory.
Yeah, but if you just remember, right, and I've said this before in the last 12 months, I'm over that. Like, I'm over that he's fun to joust with, because what he's doing now and the policies he's bringing in are far more dangerous, like the attacking of vulnerable people and that kind of stuff. But what I was saying is, when I watched that, I thought of that again. I did laugh when I was watching that out loud when he said, I don't want to go into political oblivion. That's a pretty funny slam, but you need to be careful of that as an interviewer, because it can all of a sudden just be an interview, and what he's doing now with his political party and where he's going is dangerous for a good chunk of New Zealanders. So yeah, I'm both saying he was always fun to joust with. I've kind of pledged not to do that anymore, but I was just reminded of it watching the end of that conversation.
Yeah, very true.
If he ever decides to talk to us, which I doubt very much. Peter says in the chat, I wish he retired and wrote his memoirs when he was compos mentis. It would have been a fascinating thing to read. Yeah, that's probably true as well. Arvis just wants to know, was Winnie a theatre kid? Don't know. Right, we're going to roll straight into this next one, guys. Let's just have a look at it, because we got told by this national government when they were in opposition, of course, pardon me, that gangs bad, Labor bad, Labor gangs numbers going up bad, national fix, national smash gangs. There you go. That's the story we got before the election. There's a small fly in their ointment, and that's there are now officially more gang members than there've ever been. So I think we're in the multiverse. Let's see if Luxon and Mark Mitchell can sort it out for us.
The number of gang members has soared to a record high. For the first time, there are now more than 10,000 patched gang members and prospects. And while some suspect the true number may be even higher, the Prime Minister maintains his government is smashing.
Well, of course it's higher, because if they're not patched anymore, you're not going to know about a whole bunch of new ones in town. Of course it's higher.
The gangs. Here's senior political reporter Judith Collins.
Cracking down on these guys has been a key goal for the government.
Are definitely going to go after gangs. We're going to make their life a misery.
It's becoming really uncomfortable to be a gang member in New Zealand.
We are actually tough on crime.
We're clamping down hard on the gangs.
But it appears the gangs haven't got the memo. Instead, they're steadily recruiting. In October 2023, at the time of the election, there were just shy of 9,300 gang members.
How do we feel about TVNZ's use of spray paint on the wall, Chewy? We okay with that? Does that work? Let me just say, if there's one...
I think if I was in charge of graphics, I would have it as a mob-style tattoo across the chest. That would be cool.
I don't know if I'm more impressed or more disgusted when Luxon gets told a cold, hard fact, we're going to smash the gangs. Yeah, but the numbers have gone up to record amounts. Yeah, but we are smashing the gangs. Like that staying on message thing. I don't know if it's impressive or if it's some kind of nervous tick.
If that's true, if you're smashing gangs and there are now more gang members, please stop smashing the gang. Just stop, because it's not working. You're smashing a gang member, and then another one grows, like two grow back.
Yeah, maybe it's that. What's the name of that dog out of is it Cerberus, the three-headed dog?
But
you cut its head off and two grow back. Hydra.
No, that's the Hydra.
Okay. All right, we'll keep going.
According to police, this month a new record, there are now more than 10,000.
We are going after the gangs. We're making their life as difficult as possible.
Why are the numbers going up then if you're making life as difficult as possible?
We're not going to reverse what happened under 6 years of the Labor.
No, Mr. Luxon, we own this. Mark, talk to your boss. We own this. We own this. We own this. Remember, you don't get to play both. We own this now.
We're not going to reverse what happened under 6 years of the Labor government. You saw a huge
about what's
increase.
happening under your watch, right? Not about the previous government.
I'm explaining to you, we're not going to reverse what happened under a previous Labor government in 6 years. We saw a massive increase in gang numbers.
Insisting it's good news that gang numbers are rising more slowly than they were.
We're definitely heading in the right direction.
Shouldn't they be falling, though? Shouldn't the overall numbers be falling?
We're heading in the right direction. The numbers are going up. No, but they're going up more slowly. But the numbers are going up.
Not the right. That's still the wrong direction.
Not the right direction.
Bringing in good policies.
Well, they are falling.
They've gone up 700.
Well, we've stopped the rate of increase.
We can't identify the gangs anymore because insignia has been banned. So perversely, we may see the numbers come down on this list. It's not reflective on anything on the street except gangs have become more invisible.
The gang list was meant to be an intelligence tool, not a political weapon.
If there is a political football, this is it. Obviously, when National were in opposition, they were hammering Labor. Now Labor in opposition, they'll be hammering National.
Right on cue.
These numbers show that Christopher Luxon has failed to make things better. We have more new gang members than more new police under his watch.
Are you concerned with the prevalence of New Zealand gangs?
Well, again, what we've been working hard on is to smash up the gangs. They're 1/4% of the population, driving 25% of our violent crime.
The smashing's not going very well.
I'm proud of the progress that we've made. I mean, putting the gang patches in place, many people said it couldn't be done, but we've got to keep smashing them up.
The police say that they're making twice as much money as they were a year ago through methamphetamine. I mean, you're not smashing them.
Well, there's no doubt about it. Methamphetamine is, we've got challenges around border, around through the Pacific in particular.
Labor's not buying it.
Not only have gang numbers increased, but methamphetamine levels have skyrocketed under their watch.
Do you think if you asked the general punter, Chewy, if they had to pick one bad stat, would they rather have methamphetamine in the community at record levels or ram raids? Like, if they had to have one of them happening in significant amounts, which would they pick? I know it's maybe not as easy as it sounds, because if you're involved in the retail industry, you might say methamphetamine. But to me, at least, record rates of methamphetamine, and we've heard this before, are almost like an increase that they've seen nowhere in the world, seems to be far worse than ram raids. So you spent 2 years talking about Labor bad ram raids. So is it fair to now say national bad methamphetamine? National bad methamphetamine, national bad leading to death methamphetamine, national methamphetamine. National gang numbers go up, national not smashing gangs. Chewy. So I'm just using syllables that Luxon will understand.
Yeah, I'd love to draw this on a whiteboard in front of him and just hit him with a wet tea towel every time he says, but I'm proud of the gang patch. People said we couldn't do the gang patch. No, people said it would be a breach of the human rights. People said that it wouldn't be effective. People didn't say that you couldn't do it.
Yeah.
People said it was
you
a
shouldn't
waste
do
of
it.
time.
Yeah, you shouldn't do it, but not couldn't do it.
Nobody said you wouldn't be able to pull it off. Everybody knew that you'd be able to pull it off. People said it would be dumb and ineffective. And we've seen a growth in gang numbers, and we've seen the price of meth plummet.
Yep. And
this is not a win.
Okay, this has only got 30 seconds to go.
And the meth trade is now one of 3 drivers for people to join gangs.
A sense of family, a sense of brotherhood, particularly if your family has been deficient in those areas. Another is, I think, a second one, is a sense of status. And in recent times, there's a third one, perhaps, and that's a potential source of income, primarily through the drug trade.
Whatever the reason, the national gang list continues to be used as political ammo. Judith Collins, One News.
And we've said this very clearly from day one. We will measure this government based on how they measured the last government and based on the standards they set for themselves. I think that's the very fairest way to do it. And the standards they set for themselves, the standards they held the last government to was ram raids and gang numbers. Okay, so we're going to do methamphetamine, right? That's the crime du jour under national, and gang members. And the gang numbers are up and the meth use is through the roof. National bad. Chewy.
They were never going to get on top of the gangs because they don't want to understand them. They think that understanding them is a sign of weakness. They don't want to engage with them. They don't want to engage with people that know the gangs, know what would be effective. They don't even want to listen to the police that have been effective in rolling up, in some cases, entire chapters in a long-term investigation. If they got out of the police's way, they'd be able to do it, have a big effect on it. They've done it before. These guys are clowns. Their puffed out chest bravado has just blown up in their face, and all that they can do is stammer like, "Oh, we're very proud of what we've done, but nobody said that we could do it, and we're heading in the right direction." It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit, and you can't tell me that the public is not noticing the layers of bullshit, the empty words on every topic now. Everything they have said is shown to be smoke and mirrors, outright lies, corruption, incompetence, lack of leadership. Jesus, he might be pretty worried about getting booed at the netball. I think it's only going to get worse. We've seen this right from the get-go, but we've also said that we're a bunch of politics nerds that follow this stuff, and the general public sometimes lags a bit behind. I think it is catching up on them.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Okay, that's us. Anything you want to get out there before we head off?
Yes, very, very quick thing. This is good news for our Wellington fam. Graham Bloxham drops out of the Wellington mayoral race. Graham being one of the other toxic, just horrible influences in the Wellington region. People from Wellington may recognise him from the little car that he likes to park illegally. The fact that he's taken a popular Facebook page, Wellington Live, and turned it into just a debacle. He's a horrible, toxic person, and now he's not trying to be the mayor. So small victories.
Cool. And I want to just say one more time of Moana Maniapoto.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
That is true. That is true. All right, dude. We're going to head off for the night then. I think we're done. We get let these people go to bed and do their things and
go to bed. Work in the morning.
Head off for another night. We may have Tanya with us tomorrow night, talking about the change to the electoral stuff. We'll check out just subscribe to whatever you're watching us on, and you'll know when we know what's going on for tomorrow night.
Also, if anybody knows where my passport is, if you could just message me privately, thank you.
Yep. If you want to stick around afterwards, I'll just give you all Chewy's phone number, and you can just send him a text if you find it out there. All right. So I'll see you soon with that.
Help us settle a debate, whether it be thoughtful or funny, even if we're all creatures of hate. It's a fine line that we're walking together. For better, push aside the temptation to berate. Let's take a note of the corners we stand in. As many points as the hairs on my chinny chin chin. When the news that we're watching is hairy, knowing all the things that we need to be wary of. Like the rich have the hand out for rewards, while the many have to work out what they can't afford. And the rest of us ain't paying attention, or maybe have questions we're too worried to mention. Other media is still dwelling on trivial facts, vetting bees from the rice and the mice from the rats, and picking and choosing a warpath to run, and linking ourselves with the hill to die on. It's gotta come down to a welcoming vibe, with an A and a self and a higher in mind. All have a lean either this way or that, and will be analyzed by what you impact. With the evil in the world trying to mess with your head, and you're sitting on the couch, you're thinking chivalry's dead. Each night, 2 nights, they're gonna sing you to bed. It's big hairy news.
Nothing else for me to add really tonight. Chewy, you got anything you want to throw out there to end the show?
Hey, look, we've done a lot of talking about tax and people not paying go and read the Greens tax policy. It's the answer in my opinion.
All right, team. Be safe, be well. You catch it tomorrow night from 9 p.m. for another edition of Big Hairy News. Hooroo.
Cheers, fam.